Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. How are we doing today, Kyle?
Doing pretty well, Jared. How are you doing?
You know, I woke up this morning, which for me is the 2nd of January. And I was like, did that really happen last night? Like, did all of that actually happen the way I remembered it happening last night? By the way, we're joined by our special guest host, Horns Down Brutus, and also it's a new tradition. It's a good tradition. I don't know if that'll register on the podcast at all. I don't know, Kyle. We're basically 24 hours removed from the win as we record this. So how you feeling? What's your reaction? I had to rewatch it to be sure. Good man, Spikes. If I didn't have to work today, I probably would have too.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's still a little surreal. Like, just we all knew coming into the season.
I won't tell any Spikes.
How
we ain't rats here.
How great this team can be, and like when we can actually see it, put it together, like this is the best team in the country. And two games in a row now against Tennessee, against Oregon, just lights out, and showed the country that this is the real deal. This is the team to beat here.
Ohio State's in juggernaut mode right now. Ohio State is straight up in juggernaut mode right now. And the thing is, people always talk about 3 phases in football, right? 3 phases. You hear coaches say it all the time. If for some reason you're watching this and you don't know what that means, which I'm sure is probably a small percentage, but here we go. Offense, defense, special teams. Special teams is just going to be meh on this team. Whatever. The ceiling's not real high for special teams on this team. But offense and defense, I feel like they were in sync. I feel like both of those phases were hitting on all cylinders throughout most of the last part of the year. But I bring to you the 4th phase. The 4th phase being coaching. And Ryan Day had to get out of his own way. And we'll see if he can do that next year against Michigan. He has some emotional hang up with Michigan. He has Michigan yips. He needs to figure that out. But that's a problem for 11 months from now. Right now, Ohio State looks unstoppable through all 4 phases of the game. Of course we can talk about Jeremiah Smith, and of course we can talk about Will Howard and Jack Sawyer and JT and Emeka Buka, Trey Henderson. I mean, my God, this team is just clicking right now. Denzel Burke had another ghost game. I think he had like a TFL or maybe close for a TFL. And then that was it. We just didn't see him for the rest of the game.
Yep. 2 tackles, only 2 tackles for Burke.
And neither of those were on receivers that caught the ball against him.
Yeah.
I think he came up on like running backs or otherwise like swing screen passes, something like that. This team looks unstoppable right now. They
just got it. They just got to keep it up.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And like, we just got done.
Ryan Day's got this team just clicking on all cylinders at the right time. It's tough. It's tough trying to do it 4 games in a row. It's just really tough. And it's that whole saying with the late Kobe Bryant, where he's not happy after going up 2-0. They're like, why aren't you happy, Kobe? Job's not finished.
Yeah.
Job's not done.
Absolutely.
And you see that with Ryan Day. Like he's like, we're going to celebrate here, but job's not done. And I think that's the thing you heard from multiple Buckeye players too. Hey, we're excited that won the game here, won the Rose Bowl, but job's not done.
Job's not done. Job's not done, but Kyle, you and I, our job is to grade this team based off of the game we just saw. That's our job. We'll let Ryan Day and staff figure out, how to handle Texas. But I guess maybe even before we get to that, I watched Texas and Arizona State. That game went to double.
Finished.
No. Sorry, listen to what I was saying. We just finished watching Notre Dame and Georgia. Although Texas should have lost. I mean, that's the point. It was a double overtime game that Texas could have, maybe even should have lost in. We just finished watching Notre Dame and Georgia. And both of those teams are incredibly talented, but not complete. To me, that game, if you're looking for the quintessential microcosm of that game, it was Notre Dame on 4th and 2 or 3. And what did they do? They went for it. It was in the middle of the field. I would have gone for it too. I'm not against the play call, but they go for it. Or I'm not against I'm against the play call, not the choice to go for it. And they just run right into Georgia's strength. And they turn it over. Georgia then has the ball. They get 9 yards. They have a 4th down. They go for it. They have a 4th down. They were going to go for it. Then one of their own guys jumps off sides or, false starts. All right, now we have to back it up 5 yards. Now they're going to punt it. Okay, then a Notre Dame guy gets a 5-yard penalty. So they move it back up. And then Georgia's like, okay, we're going to go for it. Then Georgia goes for it and then doesn't get it. And to me, that's what that game was. I'm not going to go as far as to say they were both trying to lose, although Georgia certainly was. But Notre Dame's a flawed football team. They won that game with 90 passing yards. Notre Dame won that game with.
I didn't look at the final stat, but I knew it wasn't that much.
With 90 passing yards,
it wasn't that much. But
and then State's Penn State. We own James Franklin. I'm just saying.
I talked to a coworker who's a Penn State fan, and he said he was just like, man, you guys just look unstoppable. And I said, hey, you guys are in the semifinals here. And he said, yeah, but we beat teams we should have beaten. And I said, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Listen, Ohio State
did just that.
Ohio State has the hardest road to hoe, and so far they're hoeing it. But let's get to the grades.
Yeah. Game plan here.
I wouldn't be surprised if PSU wins. I my money is on Notre Dame. But
yeah. Honestly, Jared, the game plan here, it's what everybody's been saying. It's what everybody's been saying that Ryan Day and the coaching staff did in the start of the game. Get the balls into your playmakers. Get the ball into number 4. Get the ball into number 2. And we saw exactly what happened there. It's an A+.
Yeah,
the game plan was stellar.
Kyle, what was Jeremiah Smith's final stats?
Ridiculous. 7 catches, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We haven't seen a game like that.
Since 2 players did it in a Rose Bowl against Utah.
Mm-hmm. Since another particular player,
2 players,
JSN,
Excuse me, Marvin Harrison Jr. also had his breakout game that game as well.
What did he have?
Marvin Harrison Jr. had like 3 touchdowns that game, didn't he? Or 2? Marvin Harrison Jr. went nuts in that game. It was his first start because Olave skipped the bowl.
I got to go back and look at that. Yeah. JSN went nuts. 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, 15 receptions. Yeah, and Marvin Harrison Jr. also had 3 touchdowns in that game too.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
I know I am.
Yeah. Jeez.
What
did I saw? 5 wins in a row in the Rose Bowl for Ohio State.
We own Pasadena. We own James Franklin. We own Pasadena. By the way, Marvin Harrison, excuse me, not Freudian slip there. By the way, Jeremiah Smith, apparently not freshman of the year, but I digress. Game management. I'll say my one. We also own Marcus Freeman. I wouldn't say that. I know we beat Marcus Freeman twice, but he did not have that team fully built out yet, which he does now. He was still growing that team when we were playing Notre Dame. Let's not get to Notre Dame. Of all the teams left, which is only 4 at this point, of all the, well, I guess 3, since we're not counting Ohio State, the only team that scares me is Notre Dame. We'd beat this Notre Dame team. We should, but I think we should beat anyone right now. All right, game management. Kyle, my only real complaint about game management was I kind of wish they had thrown the backups in a little bit sooner, but I'm not going to dock them.
I was a little surprised at that too. But to be fair, I mean, this is one of the best offenses in the country here, and they could make
the last drive. We could have put Devin and Peoples in on that last drive.
Sure. Yes, sure.
There's no reason for those guys to be taking hits on their body.
Sure. Yeah. Game management, A+. I'm fine with that too.
Chat.
Passing.
Go ahead, Kyle.
What was that?
I was asking chat for grades on game management.
Okay. A-, A+.
Well, I guess that averages out to an A.
All right. Passing here. Howard, 17 for 29, 65% completion. A little bit less than what he had in this first go round at Oregon, but stellar. No turnovers in this game here. No turnovers in the playoffs, to be fair, too. Did exactly what he needed to in this game. Just dimes in that first quarter. Absolute dimes.
He found his deep ball all of a sudden. We always said Howard's great, but he's not great at a deep ball. And the deep balls haven't been like super deep, but they've been dimes.
Yeah. I mean, that pass to Emeka for a touchdown, his best pass all year. His best pass. And what a hell of a catch by Emeka too. I don't know if everybody really saw the replay of that. Emeka being held with one arm, and he still catches it just one arm, one hand.
And the Oregon player actually tipped the ball. The defensive back.
Yeah, and he's juggling and able to just concentrate and catch that. It's just
amazing.
Ridiculous. I know a lot of people just give praise for Jeremiah Smith and absolutely should.
Yep.
But Emeka is such a stellar receiver too that
absolutely
that really gone under the radar to be honest for most of the year here, just because of the spotlight that people are shining onto Jeremiah. Emeka, just absolute stunner, and he's really close. I think if he has 2 really good games or 1 stellar game in against Texas here, he's going to be over 1,000 yards for the year. Yeah,
absolutely. I totally, everything you just said, double it for me.
Yep.
Did you
A+. for the passing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, we also have to remember as I pull up the, just as a quick reminder, if it just feels like we're handing out A+ here, this is our Know Your Enemy board.
I actually had that up.
Yeah. The defense for Oregon, number 9 in points per game, 18.1 is what Oregon was letting up on average.
Doubled that.
More than doubled that. God, we beat that in the first quarter. Yards per pass, they were number 4 in the country, pass defense in yards per pass. They were only allowing 5.8 yards per pass on the season. What did Howard finish the season or finish the game at?
He had 319 yards on 17 receptions, which brings it to
that number would actually be
18.8 per completion.
Well, that number is actually per total pass.
Oh, okay. So I'll pull that up real quick.
Yeah.
Wow. I cannot do this real quick. 12.2.
More than doubled it again. Postseason Oregon is still mid. No, Oregon's a fantastic football team. It's just that Ohio State was more talented, and they actually got it put together. Don't do the classic.
Yeah,
and I'm not calling you dumb, Zach, but like, and fans have finally stopped doing this. But this is one of the dumbest thing fans always used to do, where like a team would come in to the stadium and be like, a highly ranked team, and then they're in upset, a team chaos situation would break out, and the fans would start going, overrated. No, don't call that team overrated. Don't diminish your accomplishment. Don't do that. Don't call them overrated. Call yourself underrated.
So to finish off your stats here, they were 54th in rushing yards 54th in yards per rush. Not the greatest, but it's acceptable at 4.1 per rush. 5.8 for Ohio State on per rush. And then yards per play, they were number 12 in the country at 4.7 yards per play. And Ohio State almost doubled that at 8.8 yards per play.
Yeah. Amazing performance.
Absolutely just pure dominance for this offense here. And they shut it down at the half.
Running, Kyle, before the last drive. So take that last time-killing drive off the board. Before that last drive, Trey Henderson had a 20 yards per carry average. Now they went into clock killing mode and it fell all the way down to like 12 or something.
Yep, 11.8, yeah.
Close. And it's 20 yards per carry. That's and Judkins was still getting like 6 yards per carry before the time-killing drive, too. Utter domination, running-wise. Kyle, I'm putting you down for an A+, because if you say anything else, you're wrong. Chat, same for you.
Henderson is him.
Him and a half. He is Timothy Chalamet.
He had himself a great game as well.
Receiving, do we even need to talk about it?
No.
We've already
did any of the receivers drop the ball? I'm going to say no.
And and we just finished watching the Georgia game, and that
Did any of them catch the ball?
Oh, good Lord. What? Did they not make the sticky gloves in the Peach State? Good Lord. Run blocking. I mean, we can't be bragging about a 20-yard per carry average and then not carry this down to the run blocking as well.
It's the entire offense was an A+. When they wanted to drive, they drove. And they gave Howard the time. They gave Howard the time to they gave Howard enough time to find open receivers as well. Oregon had things going in the early part of the third quarter. finally getting pressure on him, making Howard a little bit more uncomfortable, but the damage was done already.
Well, and I think there were even situations, during the first half when Ohio State looked unstoppable, where they were getting decent pressure on Howard and force Howard to move off of his spot. But like, Oregon has multiple elite pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
So grading based off of expectations, grading based off of the opponent. Yeah, absolutely. It's an amazing game from a pass blocking perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And third downs, you know what the best type of third down performance is, Kyle? A third down performance when you don't need third downs.
Yeah. So still not the greatest 4 for 11. But if you really break that down in the first half, they only had 6 attempts.
Yeah, I was about to say they only faced
6 attempts in that.
Yeah.
They had 6 attempts in the first half versus Oregon's 11.
Again, the best type of third down are the third downs you avoid.
Mm-hmm.
And again, considering the elite status of this Oregon defense coming into the game, even if your third down percentage is what was the final?
Third down percentage?
Yeah, for the whole game.
Not that great. They were 4 for 11. 36%. They were.
What were they in the first half when the game was still? But they were 50.
They were 3 for 6.
Yeah.
They were 3 for 6 in the first half.
Oh, like bar fights. Yes, the best bar fights are the ones you avoid getting into. Exactly. All right, Kyle. That's the offense. A pluses across the board. Does anyone disagree? Chat. I just started putting in grades for you. Actually, no. Chat gave game management just an A. I disagree with chat. And of course, Zach wanted us to put S's on several occasions, which I was just interpreting as A pluses because we don't do S's on this show. That's a different show. All right, Kyle, let's do a quick ad break. We'll come back and we'll grade the defense. So with that being said, we are the Sloopcast. We are at thesloopcast.com. That's just a quick landing site where you can find links to all of our important resources, such as our Patreon page, where you can contribute to us financially and help keep the Sloopcast moving. The Discord, which is, I will go ahead and say, the least toxic Buckeye community on the face of the earth. I'll say it. Fight me. youtube.thesloopcast.com. It's where you find our YouTube videos, of course. I don't know why I felt the need to even explain that one. We can talk about the other stuff at the next ad break. Let's get back to the report card. Subscribe to Jared's OnlyFans for Buckeye Feedy jammies. Zach, I do not have an OnlyFans yet. Game management is pretty good, actually. Just felt like they let off the gas early, but I can't blame them. I don't agree. I mean, again, you have to really take into consideration how statistically dominant Oregon's defense has been all year. I mean, they can make adjustments too. All right, Kyle, the defense. Game plan.
The defense was really stellar. Very, very stellar in this game here. They looking at the stats here, especially the first quarter, Oregon had 37 yards, 233 to 37 yards in that first quarter.
How? And I don't know if you can't find this quickly, just say I don't know. How long did we get into the game before Oregon got a first down? I want to say it was their third or fourth drive. And then
it was their third drive. Their third and fourth drive, they had each had a first down.
So, and they didn't have multiple first drives or really even like a legitimate, I don't want to say this. Their only legitimate drive was at the end of the half. That was the first time they got into Ohio State territory. Am I correct in that?
It was. You're correct. Their fourth drive, they went for it on fourth down, didn't get to it, and that was close to midfield. But yeah, it was their final drive in the second quarter that they finally found their groove, and then that first drive in the second half, similar things too. They were able to move the ball each time for 75 yards, but yeah, just absolute dominance from this defense here. Yeah, game plan A+. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and that was get pressure on Gabriel. Did exactly that. 8 sacks, Jared.
8. I mean, we'll get to pass rush in a second, but
from 0 sacks the first time that they faced them, maybe 0 pressures. Maybe 0 pressures.
I don't know that off the top of my head. Kyle,
to 8 sacks.
Oregon had only allowed 13 sacks all year. I think that's right. That's how many sacks Gabriel had. I know I had that 13. Gabriel had only been, I don't know if maybe a backup quarterback or someone else got sacked at some point for the team, but Dylan Gabriel was only sacked 13 times all year until he was sacked 8 times against Ohio State. That's an insane stat.
I'm about to look it up right now.
That's an absolutely bonkers stat. I mean,
through this game, they had 21 sacks total. So 21 minus 8, they had 13 sacks. So there was one extra sack somewhere.
Oh, I got that one loaded up in the chamber too, Spikes. Game management.
They did what they needed to. Yeah, there was a lot of worried Buckeye fans in that middle of the game where they scored back-to-back touchdowns. They're like, oh, they just made this into a 3-possession game. And sure. And Ohio State had to respond, and they did. They rightfully did respond with a touchdown of their own.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and since then, Oregon didn't really do much then the rest of the game after that. I know they had one extra drive in there, but yeah, like Ohio State did what they needed to and really slowed down the game in that second half and just said, hey, we're just in cruise control. Let's just win the game. Let's play that fight song. Let's sing Carmen, Ohio, get some roses, and get ready to go to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, I think it was I think Chris Fowler was the one that said it. Where he called it the middle 8 of the game. It was like the last 4 and the first 4 of each of the first and second halves. Yeah, Fowler is a moron, but the phrase middle 8 is a good phrase.
Yep, the last 3 minutes and the first 6 minutes. Which that was one thing too that I said in our chat, Jared. It took him 6 minutes to score that second touchdown. I said, honestly, that was a win. Even though Oregon scored, that was a win for Ohio State to force Oregon to go down the field in 6 minutes. They can't continue to do that.
They couldn't have
to get back into the game.
100%. And people were even saying that, but you know how Buckeye fans can be mid-game. Even in our least toxic ever Discord server, there were still people that were like, oh God, they scored again. But there were also plenty of people being like, yeah, but it took them 6 minutes. We'll take that. Yeah, we would prefer they not score again, but it took them 6 minutes. That's not sustainable. They can't do that and catch up.
Yeah.
Run stop. Kyle, we only need one stat here. What was the final rushing total for Oregon?
Well, I got two stats.
Oh,
which one do you want? Do you want the total? Do you want the end stat, or do you want the adjusted rushing average? Because they're both terrible.
So does adjusted rushing take out of the account that sacks? Okay, I do. Yes. To be fair, we should also talk about that one.
But let's do the fun number. Let's do the final stat: rushing yards for Oregon. How many rushing attempts did they have? It was
28.
Right. Why can I not 15? 15 rushing attempts for negative 36 yards for an average of negative 2.4 yards per rush.
Yep.
That is awesome. And they had adjusted rushing yards. So taking out sacks, they had 33 yards for 1.7 yards per rush.
Yeah, the total was minus 36 with sacks included. Or excuse me, that was the second half. Minus 23 with sacks included.
Yeah, it was minus 23 for the game. Yeah.
To Ohio State's 181.
I don't care what team you're playing.
No, yeah.
That is ridiculous. I don't care if you're playing Mercer.
Agreed.
In week 12.
Agreed.
In week 12, minus 23 yards is ridiculous. I just want Buckeye fans to really realize how absurd that number is, especially for an Oregon team that just wants to. Yeah, Gabriel gets all the praise and a great quarterback gets all the praise, but Oregon likes to run the ball, and we saw Oregon run the ball really well against Ohio State back in October.
Yep.
And then coming into this game, negative 23 yards.
We
absolute just.
In fairness,
I want that pluses just go pluses all the way across the board with that. Everything here, Jared, everything here, that run stop is just above everything else. Above everything else.
We do need to be fair and point out that James left injured.
Sure.
He's their best running back. He left hurt. In fairness, we need to point that out. However, this is an offensive line that had two Big Ten, all Big Ten, and then an additional honorable mention. I'm just saying, and James had 7 carries where he averaged 2 per. When Lamar came in, he averaged
5.
5.
Yeah, Jordan James averaged 5 against Ohio State in the first game.
In the first game. Yeah, Jordan James averaged on 7 carries, mind you. He left injured early, but he did get 7 carries in and only 2 yards. Or excuse me, only 14 yards, 2 yards per carry.
And Henderson only had one more carry than him.
Yeah. Just saying. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Pass rush. I'm gonna go ahead and just
copy paste.
Yeah. It's the only fair thing to do. Again, I already said the stat.
8 sacks.
8 sacks against a team.
5 more tackle for losses, which they were. I think we actually pulled this up. They had barely any yards for loss on their rushing. I remember seeing, like, looking at Oregon stats when we were getting to know our enemy edition.
Mhm.
Barely any yard losses for Oregon here. Like I'm looking at the stat, and again, this is with the Ohio State game. Jordan James has 233 rushing attempts. He only has lost, of those 233 rushing attempts, he's only lost 18 yards. Noah Winnington only lost 20 yards. Like, they do not lose yards. They do not.
This is an excellent Oregon offensive line.
Five additional tackle for losses on top of the 8 sacks here. This defensive line was eaten. They were eaten.
Is it too late for the corner to flip back to Ohio State? Which one? Oregon stole 3 corners from Ohio State. Well, one of them's kind of a safety.
Here's the defensive line. JT, 3 tackle for losses, including 2 sacks. Hamilton with a tackle for a loss. Tyleek with a tackle for a loss. Captain Jack with 2 tackle for losses, both of them being sacks. Kane Curry with a tackle for loss as well. And then your captain, Cody Simon, with in the linebacker with 3 tackle for losses as well, too. Just complete dominance. That front seven is the reason why our corners did so well here. We had zero pressure against Oregon in October, and the receivers were able to get open, give Gabriel enough time to make a play, and give the time for the receivers to get open. When you have that kind of pressure and the type of lockdown that our really good corners are able to do here, I mean, it starts with the slobs up front there, and they got it done on both sides.
Speaking
of pass coverage, pass coverage is A plus. Yeah, pass coverage is an A plus here.
Holden did get 116 yards and 2 touchdowns.
He did, yeah. He did have himself a pretty good game here. He was only held to 1 catch the previous game, but
Gabriel 299 yards, 148.1 rating, if you take those ratings seriously, which I do not. 71% completion percentage. I tell you what, I wouldn't have guessed any of those were that good during the game, to be honest. Of course, none of those numbers account for the sacks that occurred.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at when Ohio
yards
State
per completion at 10.3. Oregon didn't have a bad passing day.
Well, here's the thing. So
aside from all the sacks, looking at the yards per half here, they held Oregon to, in the first half, 126 yards when they just full on throttle. 139 total yards in the first half. And of that 139, 75 came from that drive there. Yeah.
And then they pretty much just only passed because they did rush quite a bit. They just couldn't do anything, but yeah. Oregon had two good drives there, which Oregon's going to. We knew Oregon's has that chance to score quickly because of they just have that type of offense here. And I think holding Gabriel to under 300 yards when they had to give up the run that quickly, I think I'd take that under 300 yards.
Yeah. So here's the telling story. Gabriel's yards per completion, 10.3. It's a pretty good number.
But
yeah, that's per completion. I don't know what that, Kyle, can you do quick math and on a
I can.
And what is his yards per attempt?
7.29.
That's still pretty good. Honestly, like
it is.
If we went back through all the Ohio State games, I don't know if anyone would have done better except for Dylan Gabriel himself. And in a game, can I just butter Dylan Gabriel's bread for a second. In a game in which he was sacked 8 times, where he was constantly pressured, where he was put into a position where he had to pass, Dylan Gabriel balled out. With everything else in the entire game going against him, Dylan Gabriel still put together a pretty competent football game. That's just a huge testament to Dylan Gabriel.
In the first game, 14.82 per completion. And over 10 yards per attempt. And able to reduce it by that much. I mean, that's, yeah, hats off to Jim Knowles. Like, Jim Knowles played it, had a great defensive scheme.
Maybe I'm just really trying not to give an A+ for every single item, but I'm only going to give an A here.
Sure.
Especially considering all of the assistants. Isn't he working on his doctorate by now? Hey, we got Will Howard as quarterback. Let's not be throwing glass houses, man. Glass houses. Tackling.
Gabriel wasn't able to get free, and nobody was able to really break free too. There was a couple of long passes in this game here. I think Holden had one and Ferguson had another, but outside of that, you held Oregon to only two plays of over 20 yards.
Yeah.
Against this type of offense.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. A+ tackling as well.
Yeah, I don't remember any like egregious missed tackles. There were like some situations where maybe someone like just couldn't quite hold on to a foot as they were falling down or stuff like that. But like, I don't remember any, like I said, egregious missed tackles or even like clutch missed tackles, anything like that.
Yep. So I think third down.
We were stealing souls with our tackles. Thank you, Spikes. Hold on. Actually, hold on. Let me back this up.
You can do the.
Hold on.
Our defensive backs and linebackers were just.
What happened to my?
Bring in the hammer. Bring in the hammer. They reminded everybody. They reminded everybody who the silver bullets were.
There were so many hits in this game where I was just like, oh God. Like they brought it this game. They were playing like they weren't being refereed by Big Ten officials.
Simon, Ransom, Hancock, Styles, Downs, they all were hitting hard.
If you didn't say that.
Yeah, I said Ransom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were hitting this game
hard.
Hitting.
Like they had something to prove. They had something to prove. All right, third downs I think is where you can rate harder, in my opinion, Jared. Ohio State or Oregon was 8 for 19 and 2 for 3 on fourth downs. So if you take fourth downs into consideration, they were 10 for 19 on third/fourth down conversions.
You're keeping one of the best offenses, Kyle. I'm gonna go back to this real quick. I don't have third downs on here.
I haven't even rated it yet. I haven't even rated it yet. I'm just.
You said this is one where you could maybe rate it lower. You poisoned the well a little bit.
Am I? Did I say something bad yet?
Yes, you said this is one where you could potentially.
This is where you can.
Okay.
Potentially.
All right, move forward. We're already late for the second ad break.
Well, let's tease that and do the second ad break here. We are the Sloopcast here. Check us out over at thesloopcast.com where you can find all of our links: Patreon, Discord, YouTube, merch store, 7071, Spotify, all of the good stuff over at thesloopcast.com. Take our second break and be right back.
Well done, Kyle. I'm just saying.
But with that being
this
said,
is
but with that being said, I'm going to give them a B. I would say a B for third downs. Yes, I understand. Yes, one of the best offenses, one of the best offenses that Ohio State has faced here, and they held them down to, if you take fourth downs into consideration, they held them to just over 50% third/fourth down conversion, which doesn't seem great, but when it mattered most, Ohio State stood up and stopped them on that big fourth down conversion in the first quarter. There,
well, I'm sorry. What was your grade
there? I said a B.
Oh, that's what I missed you say that, but then I saw the chat get really angry at you.
I did ruin the A card. I did, but I'm being honest. I'm being honest. There was definitely many plays there. It was third and long, and they were able to convert it. Like, it was like, gosh, I really wish Ohio State got off the field on there. But credit, yes, it is Oregon, and they have the ability to get those third downs. But I mean, B is still really good. B is still really good against this team. I'm not saying that it's a C or a D or an F. It's a B. It's exactly what they needed to.
Are you done trying to dig yourself out of this hole yet?
I'm done.
You sound like Sean McDonough trying to address the tragedy in New Orleans like he's a real newsman, and just keep talking in case, just trying to make it better. Effort, execution, discipline, overall, I'm just doing it, Kyle. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the damn thing. This is
everything else is A plus.
It's not just the A plus, it's the super A plus. We now have a super A plus on the show, and it's this. It's this now. We're doing this. This is the thing we do on the show now, apparently. This is the best team in the country that straight up didn't lose a game all year. This probably would have been the national champion in the old system. I'll say it. If this was the BCS or if this was the 4-team playoff, Oregon probably wins the national title. I'll say it.
Yeah. I mean, the only argument you can have, is if Texas and Georgia, not Georgia anymore, play up to what the talent has on their roster.
But they didn't. And they haven't.
We have not seen it. Like, Texas has a stellar team, as we'll talk about in on Monday's episode.
They have a stellar defense.
They have a stellar defense. They have playmakers on the offensive side. Like, you saw that they got playmakers on the offense, but they just haven't put it together yet. They have not put it together. And when they can, and when they do, they're a very, very tough team. But that's the big thing. It's when, if. And again, we'll talk more about that on the Know Your Enemy Cotton Bowl edition.
I just realized
how great is that? We are 49 minutes into it. How fucking great is this, Jared? That we get to see this many Ohio State games against really good teams in a row here, playing these like important postseason games.
No, this 12-team playoff has been amazing. I have criticisms of it. I think there are things they can improve upon this playoff system, but it's been so much fun.
My money's on the $20 million Brotherhood. Well, they just beat up a $23 million duck pond. Is that right saying?
Listen, hold on, time out. Ain't no one gonna complain about spending NIL money. If there's any team I'm not gonna listen complain about spending NIL money, it's Oregon. Kyle, you know Dylan Gabriel was the number 1 rated quarterback in the portal last year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who the number 2 rated quarterback in the portal was last year? And do you know where he went?
It was Howard.
No, it was not.
No.
It wasn't Cam Ward either.
It was. Oh, was it? Wow.
Played for UCLA in 2023.
Oh, wait. Oh, not who I was thinking of.
Because he didn't play this year. Because you know where he is? On Oregon's fucking bench. So, forgive me.
I was about to say Leonard.
Forgive me if I'm not going to hear Oregon. Not to mention our entire cornerback class that they stole. I'm not going to hear about NIL complaints from Oregon. Not going to do it. Special teams, good job. You tried. We actually made some field goals. The punt coverage wasn't great. Did we return anything ever? I don't remember. We're done here. We're done with the report card.
Did we?
I don't remember a single return. I don't remember a single return from the game. That's not to say there weren't any. That's just me saying I don't remember any.
0 punt returns. The only one was in that fourth quarter where they kind of did a squib kick and Henderson like muffed it a little bit and got 3 yards from that. That was it.
All right. Kyle, do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Do I have anything in Kyle's corner? Tell you what I want, Jared. What I want so much. Bring back in the semifinals here. Bring back in the semifinals. I want to see it.
Brutus and military fatigues?
Because we saw it 10 years ago, and it got so many longtime Buckeye fans.
Oh boy, I know what you're going to say.
So excited, and I want to see it.
I know what you're going to say.
When we saw it 10 years ago.
We've seen it in the playoffs since.
I want the gray sleeves back. I want the gray sleeves, Jared. So bad. Give me those gray sleeves.
If anyone out there is musically talented, rewrite the song Green Sleeves, but with gray sleeves, and then send it to Kyle. Thanks.
I'll take that.
We'll play it next Christmas season, if we're still doing the podcast by then. Patreon.thesloopcast.com. We're struggling. I
really don't know what else was going on, Jared. I think Ohio State got a boom, I think.
They did for the 2026 class.
Yeah, that's right. It was Weatherspoon.
Yep.
Weatherspoon, the first defensive player for the 26 class.
Probably a defensive player. He might be a wide receiver. He might be a cornerback. He might be a safety. I'm calling him a corner for right now. For right now, we're calling him a corner, but that's pretty open for interpretation at the moment.
So much shade that the Ohio State players had towards all of the transfers and recruits.
Well, the recruits that flipped, game. Yeah. Devin Sanchez, who is a part of the 2025 class, but was with the team during the Rose Bowl.
That was actually kind of cool seeing. It was like 12 of them. There was like 12 of them that was just on the sideline like, hey, our first game as a Buckeye and we get a W.
Hey, and you know what? None of them crossed into the white space and hit the referee.
Yes.
Anything else in Kyle's corner, Kyle?
I want to thank Brutus for joining us in today's episode here.
Well, he was just so happy and he's just so excited. I couldn't tell him no.
Yeah, he's so excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. People who are only listening to the show have no idea what the hell we're talking about. And, I guess youtube.thesloopcast.com. I don't know what to tell you. All right. That too, Zach. Anything else, Kyle, or are you ready to wrap this?
I think we're good here. It just means more.
It just, I kind of wish we're still doing collegiate chaos at this point. I just so want to talk shit on the SEC. What time? We got 5 minutes. Kyle, Bama's out. Georgia's out. Tennessee's out. LSU's out. We'll throw Clemson in there too. Clemson's out.
All Miss is losing to Duke right now. Care.
I have not watched a single bowl game that wasn't also a playoff game this year. I don't give a fuck. I can't express that any more than I just did.
And that's why we didn't do bowl picks this year.
I think the S tier teams are Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame. Prove me wrong. Exactly, Austin. That's why we're not doing collegiate chaos right now. The tier list just doesn't make sense right now. Austin, who has joined us, pointed out that all of the teams that are now left haven't won a national title in over 10 years. The most recent, of course, being Ohio State. Yeah, I said at least. I said at least 10 years, didn't I?
So Ohio State's the lower seed. So I believe Texas is going to be the home team.
Yeah, who cares?
So give me the white on with the gray sleeves here.
Can we get the white on whites? Can we get the cocaine whites? I was a little bit disappointed we didn't wear those to the Rose Bowl.
I mean, so sometimes, honestly, with the Rose Bowl, sometimes being that the classic,
I don't
that classic uniform.
I'm sorry, I don't have the same reverence for the Rose Bowl as other people do. I hated the bowl system so much that I just have no reverence for I know a lot of Ohio State fans will be like, "Oh my God, the Rose Bowl, the tradition, the pageantry, the blah 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 blah." The bowl system is what stopped us from. Everyone acknowledge for me real quick how fun this playoff is. It's not been amazing. We could have had this.
This guy.
We could have had this 30 years ago. We could have had this.
This guy thinks it's fun. This guy thinks it's fun.
We could have had this playoff system that is so much fun right now 30 years ago. If not for the corruption of the bowls. The bowl games is what has kept the current reality that is so much fun away from us for the entire lifetime of some of the people in this Discord call right now. We streamed the show live to Discord, by the way. Kyle.
Jared.
Austin would have been born into a reality in which the college football playoff existed. If not for the Rose Bowl and all the other major bowl games paying off athletic directors across the country. This could have been the only reality he knew. So forgive me if I'm not going to hold on to some reverence for the bowl games. I don't have it. I don't care. The No. I'm not even talking about the BCS, Austin. We could have had a playoff system in college football 30 years ago, maybe more. If not for the bowl games. I mean, just look at how long is Kyle, when did the FCS have their first playoff games? Can you look it up, Kyle? Look it up real quick. When was the first? Might have saved Cooper's job. It's currently saving Day's job. 1978, Austin says. Was the 4-team
2006.
The first FCS?
The FCS started their annual postseason games in 2006.
I'm getting two different answers from you and Austin, or from you and Austin.
But then there is Oh, okay. All right. That's for something different. So yeah, 1978 is when it started with 4 teams. 2006 is when they, I believe,
2006 is the current.
more teams.
Okay. 2006 is the current model.
That's
but
it.
the 4 team. Okay. Okay. So, Kyle, you and I could have been born into this 12. Well, maybe not the 12 team. You understand?
It's a 4 team.
It was a 4 team for the Fs. But you understand my point. If not for the bowl games constantly lobbying and paying people off to make sure that these playoffs didn't happen, we could have had these 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This could have been our reality. This could have been the only college football system you and I know. So, excuse me, fuck the Rose Bowl. Fuck the Rose Bowl, horns down. We're done here. All right. Kyle, I'm going to end the show. Is that good with you?
Yep.
All right. Tonight's ending music will be Playing to Vapors. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course, support your local podcasters. I don't know, Kyle. Don't ask. Once again, these are Playing to Vapors.